Hello, you are listening to the Childcare Director's Chair podcast. Your host, Erica Sacosio, invites you to join her community of passionate and inspiring leaders in the ECE field, where she discusses, reflects, and shares the best ways to invest in our children, families, teachers, and community. Because after all, we know they are the heartbeat of any successful program.
Have you ever had that feeling, that sinking feeling, when you hear the words regulatory visit or the workers here for their unannounced visit? What if I told you, with the right preparation, you can turn that anxiety into confidence and make compliance visits a breeze? I have an intriguing fact for you. Did you know that centers with proactive compliance strategies see a 30% decrease in regulatory issues? And today we're going to uncover how you can be among these centers that make their next inspection not just successful, but a showcase of your center's excellence. Welcome to the Childcare Director's Chair podcast, where we bring you the best tips and insights for running a top-notch childcare center. In today's episode, Compliance Confidence, we're going to talk about how you can ace your next childcare center visit. We're going to explore a few strategies to ensure that you're always prepared for that unannounced visit. But before we even do that, let's talk about why compliance matters. The importance of compliance for sure. And compliance ensures that the safety and well-being of your children and staff and overall care and quality is exactly what your families are looking for, and that you're going to deliver on that promise. So I don't know about you, but I have lots and lots of people who I love underneath the roof of my childcare center, including many of my own family members, children of my friends. It's, something that I think we all need to take very seriously. And, this is how we keep people happy, healthy, and safe. And isn't that why we're here in the first place? When you stay in compliance, you avoid legal issues, fines, potential shutdown of your center. We all like to be on the news, but for the right reasons. You don't want to be on the news for the wrong reasons because of some major issue that has happened at your center. Fostering a positive reputation is really, really important. And so when you have lots of non-compliance issues, that really is not going to help you be successful. Many states have a registry or a open website where you can go on and check centers violations. And this is a good thing because we all need to be transparent, but you want to work really, really hard to make sure that we're doing everything we can. Now, we are working with human beings, so human beings are going to make mistakes. There is a place for some human error, but you want to make sure that we put every system in place to avoid any major penalties or any increased scrutiny or losses of license or anything that is really going to really, really hurt your center. We want to, talk about some real issues here. So let's dig into 10 tips that are going to help you stay in compliance with your childcare agency. And I feel like for childcare directors, many of you are juggling so many balls and you're doing so many tasks. And many of you, unfortunately, have been covering in classrooms quite a bit, way more than you would have been six or 7 or 8 years ago. We talk about some of the ways that you can use that time successfully, and this might be one of those. So if you're in a room, you may be able to look for anything that would be non-compliance in terms of the environment, in terms of your building, in terms of your scheduling, in terms of the way that the teachers are interacting with the children or lack thereof. So take those opportunities when you are in the classrooms to write down any notes that you need to pay attention to, retrain on, or address individually. So let's start with tip number 1. You need to know your regulations. Familiarize yourself with local and state regulations. Research and understand the specific regulations that apply to your center based on your location. So it's very, very important as you listen to podcasts and you do research, make sure that it is specific for your state. Many people just kind of talk generalized. Make sure that you know what is going on for your state and make sure you have the most current handbook. So you may want to regularly visit your state's regulatory agency website for any updates. If you're lucky enough to have a state like mine in Rhode Island, they are so great at sending us emails and saying, hey, look here, this is coming out. This is the date that this new regulation takes effect. And they give us some time. So I have to say, great job to our licensing agencies in my state anyway. Also, if there are regular updates, subscribe to newsletters or alerts from any of the regulatory bodies. And that could be even the federal food program. It could be your licensing worker. It could be the Department of Health. There's many folks that do compliance for your business. Make sure you're connecting with the Secretary of State and your state business boards. You want to attend sessions or webinars that address any new or changing regulations. Again, if you are lucky enough to have an agency that really connects with those in the field, please take advantage of that. It's really important. And I'm going to say that they're, again, doing a great job here. And I'd love to hear from you, from your state. Let us know, like, how is licensing going for you? What do you wish would be better? What are they doing great? Let us know. Visit us on Facebook and let's have a conversation about it. Making sure that you maintain accurate records. Detailed records are so important. Keep your files organized for your staff qualifications, for your children's health records and incident reports. If you are using a digital system, which most people are using now, make sure that you have all of the pieces in place there. Make sure your data entry is correct. Make sure you can download anything that they need at any point. So implementing a digital record keeping system, if possible, really does make it much easier to manage. You want to make sure that you're updating information. Schedule regular intervals to record reviews and updates, and ensure all records are complete and accurate and stored securely. Now, one of the things I think is really important as we're rolling into the beginning of the school year, you may have children that you have had, and hopefully you do, for many years. Make sure that you are getting out at the beginning of each new school year, updated forms so parents can change phone numbers, places of work, who can pick up, because that's one of those things that might get overlooked. So make sure you're doing that. I feel like most people are probably pretty good at collecting like the yearly physicals and immunization records, and so forth. But I feel like maybe where they do not update as much as, checking again who can pick up, who can't, and if there's been any changes in work. When you have a digital tool, parents can go right on in and update all that information for you, but you have to kind of remind them, because if they're not looking at that on a regular basis, it kind of may fall to the side. So making sure that you have everything updated. The third tip is you want to conduct regular self-audits. You want to do internal audits. Create an internal audit schedule to review compliance areas such as staff training, facility safety, and documentation. And I would say, document when you do these audits. Document it, and then you want to identify issues. Look at any discrepancies or any areas that need improvement, and develop an action plan to address and rectify issues before your official visits happen. So what I'm going to say is you should really think about what is on the sheet when they come in. They usually come in, what they check off, and use that sheet when you do your own audits, because we typically will do an audit and we're really more focused on what our policies are as a program, but really pay attention to what they're looking for. You'll get really good at this. I will tell you, it's so funny. I will tell you, I can walk in a classroom and tell you if the temperature is in compliance without looking at the thermostat on the wall. I can literally walk in and say, it's either too cold or too warm in here based on regulations. I think a lot of us too, as directors, will walk in a room and we wonder, why don't the staff see XYZ? Why don't they see that coffee cup on the shelf within a child's reach, right? Why do they not see it? They don't see it because they're really busy caring for the children. So training staff, yes, is important, but you got to go around and do your safety checks. You want to make sure that everything is in line where you expect it to be. If you have video cameras, use those video cameras as a training tool, not I got you tool. And certainly if you're off site and you're just watching videos of your team working really hard, the last thing they want is for you to call them up and say, hey, can you move your coffee cup, right? So you want to make sure that the coffee cup doesn't even go there, and you want to work with them so they have a better understanding of their role in keeping the center in compliance. But it is a team effort. You can walk around and do your checks in the morning, and 3 hours later, something could be out of compliance. So it's important for those in the room to also have a great understanding of what has to happen. A perfect example would be, in my experience, they're kind of easily overlooked, but evacuation cribs. I have seen sometimes teachers put their tote bag or something in an evacuation crib. Something as simple as that they just meant to put it there for a minute while they put down their things and they didn't take it out. That's a violation, right? Or the kids just ate lunch and they were tending to the children and doing changes, and now there's food on the floor. That's a compliance issue. So making sure that they understand what they need to do and in the order they need to do it to stay in compliance, and then your role of how you're going to help them successfully succeed in doing that while also supervising children. So that rolls us right into number 4 is training your staff. You have to provide ongoing training. Provide initial and continuous training on compliance standards and best practices. Now, we're all guilty of it. We train when people first come on, and then, sometimes not so much after that. So you want to make sure that you're doing refresher trainings for everybody, and include topics that are identified around emergency procedures, child safety, and reporting protocols. So those are things that you want to make sure that you are working with your staff on a very regular basis. You also want to ensure that each staff member understands their specific responsibilities related to compliance. Review with them their roles and their expectations in staff meetings. And you can even do this in a fun way. It doesn't always have to be like drill. You can even make a fun trivia game, like Jeopardy, or The Price is Right, or something like that, where the questions revolve around licensing and compliance, and make it fun. Maybe they win gift cards. Maybe they win some money, right? Whoever gets the most of these compliance questions right wins a $100 bill. Like, I'm serious. Make it fun and engaging. That is how everybody learns best. So don't make it just be a want, Charlie Brown teacher type of training. Make it engaging and fun. Maybe you even do a scavenger hunt and you give them a checklist and you say, walk through this room and see how many violations you can find, right? And set it up so that they find many violations, do this, after the center is closed, obviously, but, do some things that might be in your face obvious, and then some maybe that aren't so obvious. So again, make it fun. But the more that you do this, the more it's interactive, the more that they have to use their eyes instead of you telling them what's wrong in the room. Let them use their eyes and let them tell you what's not in compliance. You want to develop, tip number 5 is developing a compliance checklist. Comprehensive checklists create detailed checklists covering all of the regulatory requirements, including health and safety, staff qualifications, and operational procedures. And don't hide everything in the office and, in the director's office and it's locked. You know what? Put a copy of the regulations right on the floor. Put it where everybody has access to them. I don't feel like it should be a hidden secret. Most states require you to go over the regulations with your teaching team anyway. And we all know there are certain regulations that they all know, right? They all know ratio. They all know how many kids they're allowed to have and how big of a group they can have. They all know they're supposed to wash their hands, right? But what about the other 999 compliance regulations we have? Do they know about all of those? So yeah, I think the more you share this information with your staff, the better your outcome's going to be. So incorporate that checklist into your regular operations to maintain continuous compliance. And review it and update it to make sure that if there are any changes in your regulations, that you have implemented those on your checklist. Because it's very easy. We all have done it. When we make these binders, we make photocopies, we punch the holes, we put it in the binder, and, maybe we write on it. Sometimes maybe we don't. But you got to make sure that we're following the current regulations. You want to implement a safety and health plan. Make sure that it is a clear plan. And most states, again, this is part of regulations, like your cleaning schedule. That should be posted in your classroom where your teachers sign off. That way, if the state comes in and they want to know when was the last time your toys were disinfected or the last hour your toys were disinfected, that it's very obvious and it's right there. And it's also something that you can share with parents as you're doing tours too, because health and safety is so important to families, as it should be, that you can show them, look, this is where you see what time, things were cleaned and how often they're rotated and, all of those things. And, each of the materials have been checked through a choking gauge, depending on the age of the classroom, right? Of the children. So, I think that you can also not only use this for compliance, but you can also use it as a way to showcase again the things that your center is doing to make sure everybody is safe. Number 7 is you want to have open communication. Encourage reporting. Create a culture where staff feel comfortable reporting potential issues or concerns without fearful of being, in trouble. And I want my staff to tell me, if something is going on. You want to make sure that you have some type of confidential reporting system if necessary. And I don't mean the things that they should automatically call the hotline for. I'm talking about compliance issues that maybe wouldn't be hotline material, right? Or if they see, a safety hazard that maybe you didn't catch, or something just broke that you did your walk in the morning, but something just broke, to have them come and report that to you. Regulatory communication. Maintain regular communication with your worker. You need to stay informed about any changes and additional requirements. You want to document all communication and follow up on any requests for feedback. And I think that this is so important. I think that you can't only talk to your worker when they come on these unannounced visits. You have to talk to them frequently. Send them out emails when you have questions about things, or something happens at your center and you think, oh, this could be a potential issue. Maybe it's you let a parent go because they haven't paid the bill and now they're going to call the state on you. Give your state worker a heads up and say, hey, I have a disgruntled parent or a disgruntled employee. They've already told me they're going to reach out to you for XYZ. Here's the documentation, the XYZ, to show that it is, inaccurate. And also always prepare for your visits. Analyze past inspection reports to identify any reoccurring issues or areas of improvement. Develop strategies to address any concerns noted on previous visits. That's how you get really good at it. And you'll really start to be very familiar with what they're looking for when they come in. And this will ensure that you stay up to date and your documents are all updated. But it only happens if you do a checklist. And it only happens if you put it on your to-do list. It only happens if you work with your team. So let's go to tip number 9. Create a compliance team. Design a team of individuals responsible for overseeing compliance efforts. This team should stay up to date with regulations to ensure all staff adhere to compliance standards, because you can't be everywhere and you can't see everything, especially if you're a multiple location childcare owner or director. So you have to make sure that you have some teams that also are very aware of all of the intricacies. So define the team's responsibilities clearly, including how to conduct an audit, what do they do when they find an issue. Then we put together organization training and managing documentation. So that would be things that you would have with your compliance team to have them put that in place. Number 10, last but not least, stay informed and engage. Industry forums and workshops. Participate in relevant forums, workshops, and conferences to stay current with industry trends and regulatory changes. Network with other childcare professionals to share best practices and experiences. Of course, don't forget about your local childcare community. Engage with local childcare associations or groups for support and resources. And attend meetings or join committees to stay actively involved with the childcare community. So those are 10 tips that I hope will help you ace your next compliance visit. If you have any questions, please inbox me. I'd be happy to answer them for you one-on-one. If you're really struggling around a particular area and you don't want to let anybody know that's in your circle of influence and you want an outside opinion, again, send us a message. We'll be happy to answer. You can find us on Facebook at the Childcare Director's Chair. You can find us on Instagram at CCDC Podcast. You can send us an email at stellabusinessconcepts1@yahoo.com. So connect with us whatever way works best for you. And don't forget, if you haven't checked out our YouTube channel, go check it out. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button. So that's it for today. And as always, have a great day.
Well, all the cute little kiddos have been picked up and it's time to go home. And that'll do it for another episode of the Childcare Director's Chair. Please leave a review so Erica knows the information is helping you to manage and improve your childcare centers. Remember to subscribe to get the latest episode from Erica's Childcare Director's Chair.